tent is taking an absolute hammering, and it's doing really well so far. So after my initial spec comparison of the 3FUL Taihang 2 against the Hilleberg Anyen 2, I had a lot of people comment and ask, you know, what I thought it would be like in a real life situation. So it wasn't a review on that tent. It was simply me showing you what you could get for basically 6 times less than the Hilleberg, but what is essentially the same type of tent. So I had quite a few comments from people who were interested in buying it. You know, not everyone has got that amount of money to spend on a Hilleberg Anyen 2, and that was the reason why I showed that video, just to sort of see that, you know, there are other options out there, things that are similar specification, similar size, similar shape, do the same sort of job, maybe not to the extreme that Hilleberg would do it, but more than enough for most people to use on an everyday basis in the UK. So I come out on Dartmoor tonight. I'm going to be doing about an hour and a half hike, pitching up a tent. I'll show you the pitching. I didn't show it in that video, and a couple of people said it'd be interesting to see how it pitches. It's fairly straightforward, and I say it's the same as the Anyen 2, and there's a million videos out there on pitching that, but I'll show you pitching it. Forecast tonight, pretty miserable, as you can see. Naff weather. We are at the very beginning of 2025, so no clear skies, fog and mist apparently, and winds of around 25 miles an hour approximately. So be a good average test, just to see how well the tent works out. I've also got a new torch to test out tonight, bit of a high beam long distance one. Problem is it's forecasting mist and fog, so I don't know if that's going to work, but this is the first camp I managed to get out and bring the torch out with me, so if it's clear I'll show you it. Looks pretty good if you're interested in torches. Okay, so there's a bit of wind up here. It's died down a little bit. It was gusting a bit harder than that on the way up, so I think we're going to probably hit the 20 mark or so later on. Only showing 8.3 there at the moment. Don't know where that 113 max is from. My last camp, 113 mile an hour wind test. Now the difficulty I'm going to find filming is I bought myself a new tripod. It's really nice, Ulanzi. It weighs half the weight of my other tripod, but this is a sort of umbrella type one, so it extends and then the legs pop out the bottom, so you've got like a tripod at the bottom as opposed to full length tripod legs. It's very light. It's also taller than my other one, so I haven't got to sort of stoop down while I'm talking. So it's great in every respect, apart from the fact in the wind it's just too top heavy. So yeah, I might have to have this down very low just so that it works. What I like about it is the massive wide angle you can get, because it's so long. So yeah, it gives a good panoramic view, which I couldn't do with my old tripod. It was just too heavy. Simple as that. Right, let's get the tent up and I'll show you what it's like. Okay, so hopefully you can see me. As I said before, there's a million videos out there on the Hilleberg Anyen 2 being erected. So I'll put this up. It's exactly the same. I've put the poles together. You've got one longer and one shorter one, so you know what goes where. Bigger one at the front towards the head end, smaller one at the foot end. I am facing directly into the wind at the moment, so the vestibule is going to be pointing that way because that's the way it should be. You don't want the wind hitting your foot end because that's going to compress into the inner tent, and then it's going to reduce the size and space inside your tent and lead to more condensation. So I'm going to face it this way. I think about here. I'm going to start off with just 2 pegs at the front and then let it blow out, and then I'm going to put the poles in, stretch it out, put the pegs in, and then glide it out. Simple. I've just got to hope that the vestibule end is at the front when I get it out, because that'll make life a lot easier. The smell of new tent. Can't beat it. Right, vestibule, where are you? No, of course it is in there. Ideally, loosen the straps first. So, a large pole in the front. As I said before, the only downside to this tent in comparison to the Anyan is the fact that the Anyan has got a captive end at the pole sleeve, which means you've only got to attach one side. This doesn't. But for the price difference, you can forgive it. Okay, that's out. Just going to clip this one side in. Small pole at the back. I've left the ground sheet attached to this, so I haven't got to mess about with it. I thought it stopped recording. Same again on this pole. Run it through. Obviously this one's a lot shorter and easier, and I've gone and done the worst thing you can do. Recovered it. Always push the poles in. I missed one and it pulled the pole apart, and that's going to create a weak point if you don't make sure it's seated properly. Yeah, now we just put these in the pegs this side. One. Two. The easiest way to do this is just lift it up, pull it tight, make sure it's square. And then the sides have got straps so you can tighten these down to get it tauter, tighter, tauter, whatever you want to call it. This takes a total of 12 pegs. So you've got 4 on the front and back corners. 4 on the end of each pole. Not 4 on the end of each pole, but 4, 1 on the end of each pole. I'm just going to adjust this one out a bit. That wasn't me. And then you've got 4 for each guy outline, 1 for each guy outline, 4 guy outlines. I'll get it right. Try and stretch these pole ones out a bit. It makes it more taut. With the side guy lines, the best thing to do is do them at a cross angle to the opposite ones. So basically, if you look at where that pole is in the corner, you're going essentially straight across. Don't pull it too tight because you don't want to deform the pole. This is there to help it with the wind hitting that way as opposed to pulling it into the wind. Forgot to tighten up the end guy out. That's it. Tent is done. Now, someone pointed out something that I missed on this tent. It's not obvious, it doesn't show you on the website, and there's no real information about it. But it's another thing that gives it a little bit of a one-up on the header bag. So obviously you have a door here with a zip. It is not a two-way zip. Someone kicked off about it not being a two-way zip, but it doesn't need it. You've got a massive vent. You only need two-way zips for venting. What I didn't realise was it's got another door on the other side. So you can actually open up either side. So if the wind changes, rather than being dead straight, suddenly moves a bit to that side and is blowing in your vestibule, you zip it down, you open that one, moves over this side, zip it down, open that one. Bloody clever, eh? Right, so I'm going to get my gear inside, get set up, and I'll come back and speak to you in a bit on my thoughts on the tent so far. Okay, so there will never be a tent that I don't find a problem with, and the first thing I would do if this was my go-to tent is change these door buckles. I can't stand these tie backs. 2 loops of material and a plastic T-bar. I would change them to elastic. Same on that side. But I am being very picky with that. I love the space in this tent. The only other thing that I think could be improved on here is pockets. There is one pocket on one side. Bearing in mind this is a 2-person tent. It's a small pocket, like a Lanshan, and there's only one. At least put 2 small pockets in it, one on each side. Right, so the forecast is now gone from 25 to 30 tonight. They're supposed to increase. The max I've recorded so far is 17.3, but I'm not 100% sure on the accuracy of these things. It does feel a lot heavier, but I can only go with what I got. This is the tent. Obviously the front is taking the brunt of the wind, and it is dipping in a little bit, but it's fine, it's holding. Might just tighten these up a tad. I do find that the way the pole arcs toward the front is a little bit odd. I think if it was straighter up it might be better, but I don't know, maybe heading into the wind works out better. But as you can see it here now, it's taken a fair old battering. Currently showing 15 miles an hour now, according to this, constant 15. It just feels stronger than 15. It looks it as well. Someone has just pitched up around the corner from me and he's struggling massive. I think he's got a Savango 300, I think. Not sure, no, 200. One of those peak poles. I might go and give him a hand, he seems to be struggling. I can't zoom on this, but you can see him struggling to get the tent up over there. So I just went over and checked on that guy because he seemed to be struggling a bit with the tent. Young lad, his first ever wild camp, and he's on his own on Dartmoor, 30 mile an hour winds. He's got an OEX Jackal, I think it is, tunnel tent, you know, with the pointy tops. I think it's a Jackal, I'm not sure. Pitched so badly. It's just on undulating ground. The front vestibule, similar to this, is just laying on the floor. And he's got the little thin metal pegs that I just bent and he's putting in the ground. I don't think he'll survive the night, to be honest. I did say to him, if he needs anything, wants any help, just to come over and give me a shout. He's only like 100 yards away from me, so hopefully he does all right. But he's driven all the way up from Bournemouth, bless him, so young lad, just to try wild camping. So, you know, can't knock him for that. He's gone to the right place. He's come somewhere where it's legal. I don't think he's picked the best weekend, but sometimes you've got to play with the cards we are dealt. And if this was the weekend he had planned for it, then maybe that's why he's not going to change his mind and cancel it because of a bit of wind. But say it was supposed to be 20-25 mile an hour. I've just recorded 20, just over 20 on the Skywatch. But there's gusts of 25 plus quite easily hitting the tent. It's flexing, it's moving, but it's standing fine. A bit better than his OEX Jackal. Bless him. Right, it's 6 o'clock. I'm getting hungry. Annoyingly, I've busted open my breakfast, my Quaker porridge oats. So half of them are in my plastic bag that I put my food in. It's going to be a tight breakfast. But I've got my Fire Maple petrol G2 pot again, which is rapidly becoming my favourite. I do like it, and I mentioned it on my last video. But yeah, it's just a simple, well thought out design with the old heat exchanger on the bottom. I won't make you watch me eat. I'm going to get my food on, while the wind keeps doing its thing. Right, dinner is done. There is no way this is below 20-mile-an-hour winds. It's definitely picked up. So it's sort of I think it's constant above 20, and every now and then a heavier gust just slams into the tent. But it's flexing at the front, which is what I expected. It's what these tunnel tents do. It's standing fine. The inside is a bit flappy, but I haven't got the doors zipped up, so that will help tighten it a little bit. But I'm going to go outside in a minute and just check around it, take a gauge of the wind, see what it's like. I just don't really want to go outside, but I will. However, first, Mars bar, not sponsored. Right, so I've just been outside with a Skywatch and measured, and it's a constant 70 mile an hour, gusts of 150, well 153, but I don't like to exaggerate. So yeah, it's pretty windy. Not really, obviously. The Skywatch is saying a constant 22, 23 mile an hour, but it's really, it feels a lot stronger than that, and the tent is taking an absolute battering. It's standing up fine, it's just bowing at the front quite heavily, but yeah, it's a pretty good test of this tent, to be honest. But I definitely think the Skywatch doesn't register it as well as accurate as it should do, because to me it feels more than 20 mile an hour, but that's just YouTubers exaggerating wind speed, isn't it? It's forecast to get worse by around another 10 mile an hour, so it's supposed to hit 30 through the night, which should be fun. I just checked on his tent, it's still standing, it's moving like you would not believe, but he's still there. So yeah, if I go out again later, I'll have another check on him, make sure he's alright. Right, I've just been out for what is hopefully my last bathroom trip for the evening. It's been sporadic, picked up and going quiet with the wind, but just now out there is averaging about 20, and then you see the max down the bottom there, 31. If you can see it, 31.1 I think it is, or 31. So yeah, it's got a bit worse. It's just calmed down this second, oddly, but it's got bitterly cold out there as well with the wind. Wind chill factor's really made a difference. I was thinking I'm going to give this new torch a test out. It's not too bad actually out there. It's not as foggy and misty as it was supposed to be. But this is the Klarus EP12. It's a nice little size torch, 6 inches long. It's only 2,000 lumens, which doesn't sound a lot for this size, but this is a zoomable torch, so it screws in and you've got a wide beam, and then you focus it, and it's got this really, I don't know if you can see it in this light, it's got this bulbous lens, and it focuses it into a beam, and apparently it's supposed to go 750 meters. It's only about 30 quid as well, this, which is pretty good. It's got a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. It takes fast charging as well, but it's quite nice, and I've sort of had a little play with it, not fully tested it out to see the distance on it. Whether that will show on camera at night, I don't know. I don't think it will show how far it goes, but it'd be interesting to give it a go. So I'll bring it outside, hopefully the tripod doesn't fall over, and see what it looks like. Right, I've tried to tuck you out of the way of the wind behind the tour. There's a rat. I've just seen a rat. First one I've ever seen on Dartmoor. Little bugger. So this is the torch. Very simple, very straightforward test, because this does two things. it turns on, it turns off, and it zooms, and that's it. So this is 2000 lumens on its wide beam. It's pretty good. It's got a nice perfect circle, and then if you twist it, put it onto a zoom, and then you have a laser beam. There's not much up here that I can pick out that's more than 100 yards away. Lights up those sheep down there that are about 100 yards away. Classic starlight shot. Okay, so you can see from my perspective. So you see the spot there? So that rock down there is probably about 200 yards away. The rat was just here. Whoop. It's windy. Yeah, I can't really find any features to light up any further away than that. That patch of grass is about 250 metres. The tour drops off behind that, so there's not really a lot you can see. 750 metres. I'm not sure what to do that. It might just, you know, throw a slight glow over something. You can see the sheep down there, and my tent is there. It is very bright, and you can see the beam. It's pretty mad. For 30 quid, it's not bad, is it? But it is now 9:30. So I'm going to try and get some shut-eye, because I'm just tired. I need some sleep. And I think first off though, just drink myself some Jack Daniels. Help keep the noise of the wind out. Cheers. Right, it is 3:20 in the morning. I don't need to go out, and I don't want to go out. The wind has really picked up now. It's been getting increasingly worse throughout the night. I haven't slept much, and hopefully you can hear me. Oh. But the tent is taking an absolute hammering, and it's doing really well so far. But the weird thing is, I'm laying here, and the only part of the tent I'm touching is the floor, and I can feel myself moving in the wind. It's that bad. I mean, this is, I don't know what the wind speed is out there, but it's not 30 miles an hour. This is way above that. Way above that. I just really want to go out and test it, but I really don't want to go out and test it. Good morning. I did not sleep well last night. I'm struggling massively with this Thermarests Neo Air X-Therm. Although it's nice and warm, my shoulders, my arms go numb, and I have to deflate it considerably to stop waking up completely in pain. Yeah, I'm not happy with it. But the tent did very well. You know, I recorded speeds of 30 miles an hour outside, and it definitely got a lot worse in the night. I didn't go out and check it. It was just too horrible. It's just gone 7 o'clock. I got up about 20 minutes ago. I went round to check the other guy's tent. He's gone. So to be gone by, you know, probably 6:30, 6:45 in the morning, I think he bailed in the night. So yeah, and I'm not surprised, because it really picked up, and the wind's got absolutely bloody horrific. So, but the Taihang 2, it's still up. It fared very well. There's one thing that I will say: the straps at the front, where you tighten the corners down into the pegs, they loosened off. They came back a bit with the pressure of the wind.
which really they shouldn't do unless you pull the actual lock back to release the straps. So when I got out this morning, I didn't notice it until I was outside. You could see that the sides were quite flappy, they were loose, and I couldn't understand why, because obviously it hasn't rained, so the seal nylon is dry, it hasn't stretched. So I checked the straps, and the front ones had just been pulled out. They've stayed, in the ground, pegs have held, but yeah, they pulled out a little bit, but no biggie. And it survived. There's no deformation, there's no damage, no nothing. So I didn't think this was going to be a really, really good test of the Taihang tonight, but it turns out it has been. So yeah, it's done really, really well. For 140 quid, a tent that is, the same style and design as the Anyan, but with a couple of extra bits that hasn't got. And as I said before, yes, the Anyan is probably going to stand up to considerably higher winds and worse conditions than this. But it just depends on what you're going to go out in. This is probably going to be worst case scenario for a lot of people. So if you know it can handle it, it can handle it. As always, I'll put a link in the description below if you want to buy it. But I'm going to put my breakfast on now and have what little is left of my Quaker Oats porridge after spilling it all in my bag.
So my final thoughts on the 3FUL Taihang 2. After last night, I am more impressed with it than I was when I just did the initial setup video. The winds really did pick up last night, and I think that's probably the highest wind that most people are going to get out on a camp in general, without going to extreme conditions of being right up on the top of a mountain. But who knows? It could possibly handle a lot more. But for 140 quid, it's really good. So to the guys who sort of said they were interested in buying it and would like to see it in real life use, hopefully that ticked the box. It's ticked the box for me. It's definitely a decent tent. So as always, I will put a link in the description below if you do want to buy it. It is an affiliate link. I think there is a discount code, I can't remember off the top of my head now, but I'll put the information below. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, as always, hit the thumbs up, and if you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you all on the next one.